بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. أما بعد. We continue, walillahi alhamd, reading from the work of Imam al-Ajurri, rahimahullah ta'ala, akhlaq al-ulama. Akhlaq al-ulama, the manners of the scholars, those lofty traits and etiquettes, conduct and the manners, the akhlaq of the people of knowledge, ahlul ilm, al-ulama. We have been reading, and we continue. In the chapter, the author, he has mentioned Kitabu Akhlaq al-Alim al-Jahil al-Muftatan bi'ilmihi. The book with regards to the ignorant scholar, the manners, of the ignorant scholar, the one who is tried by his knowledge. The ignorant scholar, al-Alim al-Jahil al-Muftatan bi'ilmihi, the one who is tried by way of his knowledge. Previously, we have seen those traits of al-ulama alladhina نفعهم الله بالعلم في الدنيا والآخرة. Those beautiful and lofty traits of those people of knowledge and the ulama and the scholars whom Allah had benefited them by way of knowledge in this life and in the hereafter. The author in this chapter, as has preceded, is clarifying those who pretend to be from the ulama or ascribe to be from the students of knowledge, or they're from those who busy themselves with knowledge, and possibly they have obtained a portion of ilm, shari. They have obtained some of the knowledge of the legislation, and memorized and comprehended and understood, even possibly sitting with the ulama. Even some of them may have references and the likes like this. And this is something that is well known. But this individual, he did not benefit from his knowledge. Rather, his knowledge is a proof against him and a fitna for him. And the issue of this individual is that he is sick, and he has a heart that is sick, and his heart is overcome with shahwa muharrama, with bel shahawat al-muharrama, shahawat al-muharrama, the impermissible lusts and desires. And with regards to the one who carries the knowledge, this is the love to be known, and the love to be heard, and the love to have status and rank, and the love to have position and to be in the front, and to have the people turn their faces to them, and to rely upon them, and to depend upon them, and to come to them, and not to others, and no one else besides them. Rather, they must be in the lead, and this is what they hope for, and this is what they desire. And we have seen that the author has mentioned several narrations in this chapter, and likewise he has mentioned some attributes, and we have been reading. And the author, in his detailed explanation, he has clarified in the beginning that he mentions these attributes in this detailed manner and clarification for two very beneficial and important reasons. And that is, first and foremost, so that this individual can be known, so that the layman and the other and the common believers, and likewise the new students of knowledge, or in reality the general Muslims, all of them, even from the people of knowledge and people of ilm, and even from the students of knowledge, so they will be able to identify this person, they will know him. And because we know that knowledge is either beneficial for you or it is harmful. So knowledge is either a proof for you or a proof against you. What has preceded in this work, and that which he has clarified in the purpose of authoring this work, is to clarify the attributes and characteristics and traits and the manners of those whom had benefited by their knowledge, and those whom their knowledge is a proof for them. But to further clarify and understand the haqq and the truth, and the people of haqq and the people of truth, with detailed clarification, it's very important to understand that which is contrary to that. Especially whenever there are individuals who imitate or pretend, or they resemble these particular people, directly. They resemble these particular people directly, outwardly. But inwardly they have an error, and they have foulness and wickedness, and a plot that is disgusting and lowly. But how could that be known, and how could that be clarified? There are attributes the author is clarifying So just as he has mentioned characteristics and attributes of those people whom their knowledge is a proof for them, likewise, and so that they can be known by way of them, so that the people can know who they are and benefit from them and draw near to them and to benefit from them and trust them and rely upon them and the likes in the affairs of their deen, and to first and foremost benefit from them, and likewise so that the people who are on that path of knowledge can strive to have these traits and can strive to be from that way and can strive to be from those whom their knowledge is a proof for them. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal from His grace and from His mercy that He will teach us that which is good and beneficial, and that He will allow us to apply that in a manner that is pleasing to Him, and that He will make what He has taught us beneficial for us in this life and the hereafter, and that He will make what He has blessed us and bestowed upon us from knowledge a proof for us and not against us. But as I mentioned, it's important to likewise know the traits of the one who is contrary and that which is opposite. And this is something that is known in the deen. And this is a foundation and a fundamental principle with regards to understanding the haqq and the reality. That truth is not clarified except by knowing the falsehood. The detailed truth and correct haqq, al-haqq al-mubin, is not truly clear and clarified until the falsehood is clarified, likewise. And the tawheed is not truly understood and known until a shirk, likewise, is truly understood and known in its different types. And the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ is not truly understood properly until innovations in the different ways of the innovators and the different aspects of introducing newly invented affairs into the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla is understood. And likewise, As-Salafy, true Salafiyya, the correct methodology and manhaj is not understood until you clearly and in detail understand and know the reality of Hizbiyya, about Hizbiyya. So, كما قال الشاعر: عرفت الشر لا للشر لكن لتوقيه من لم يعرف الشر من الخير يقع فيه. Just as the poet, he has said that I learned about evil not for the sake of evil but to beware of it, and to be cautious from it, to be protected from it. Naam, and the one who does not know the difference between good and evil, he will fall into it. Meaning, he will fall into it and he does not even know. So then, just as it is important to learn these attributes and characteristics of those upright and noble scholars, likewise it's very important, detrimental rather, to know the attributes and characteristics and statements and the deeds and the manners of those people who imitate them and they're not from them. Those people who claim to be from the ulama but they're not truly from them. They're not truly from them. It's a claim. It's a claim, and in reality, that which is inside is contrary to what they show on the outside. So the author, he mentioned several traits, and we have numbered them 1, 2, 3, and the author has mentioned them one after another, and we have numbered them, alhamdulillah, and we have read the first one, second one, third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one. Naam, and likewise, this is where we have stopped. Naam, that we have read 5 of these characteristics and these foul and lowly manners of that person who his knowledge is a proof against him and not for him. The person who, the manners and characteristics and the traits of an individual who he's tried by his knowledge, and his knowledge is a fitna for him. And even though he carries knowledge and he has studied and memorized, and maybe he has sat in gatherings of knowledge and the people of knowledge, maybe he even speaks the speech of the people of knowledge, or he walks or wears the clothing of the people of knowledge, he's not from them. He's not from them. Rather, he is alimun jahilun. Just like the author mentioned, these characteristics we proceed. We just to remember the fifth one, he says that the fifth characteristic is that he would never go back on his mistake. If he made a mistake and it's clear to him, he will never go back on his mistake, and he will never clarify that to the people truthfully and correctly and honestly, because he's afraid that his position will fall. And he thinks that by the people knowing that he made a mistake, that this will be a means for his status to be lowered in their eyes. And this is something that he does not want. Rather, he wants his status to be high in their eyes. But little did he know that the one who is truthful with Allah Azza wa Jal, that Allah Azza wa Jal, huwa rafi' al-khafid, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is the one who raises ranks and he is the one who lowers. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Every single day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is lowering and raising individuals. And that the means of being raised is by being sincere and truthful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in reality, the one who falls into an error or a mistake, this is something that is known about the human beings. This is something known about the human beings in general. And no one is safe and has the isma except for the anbiya. And the ulama, they're not safe from falling into error. But if they slip or fall and the truth is clarified to them, the attribute of that true person of knowledge and the true seeker of knowledge and the true student of knowledge and a Muslim in general is that whenever the haqq is clarified to him, he goes back, he goes back to it. Because that's what he's looking for, and that's what he wants, and that's what he's hoping for, and that's where he's searching. And so if he had a statement that was wrong or he misunderstood a particular issue, then the one who clarified that for him, he would love that person and he would be happy. And if it's clarified to him in detail, he says, Allah jazakallahu khairah. And then if he had mentioned a false statement to others, he would hasten to clarify to them that that statement is false. And it's not correct because he does not want them to be upon falsehood, especially if he is the one who taught them that. Because he will be held accountable for the actions that he performed. Because the one who gives the fatwa and the one who speaks about Allah Azza wa Jal, he is bearing a mas'uliyah, a responsibility that is heavy, and a responsibility that is great. So then if he knows that he made a mistake, the truthful one, he will hasten to rectify that and to fix that before it gets worse for him, because he knows that he will face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will know that he will face Allah Azza wa Jal, and he will be asked. And he will be asked about that affair. But this person here, this person who is jahil, whether he carries knowledge or not, he's jahil. Now what does he do? He will never admit his mistake. And he will go left and right, and he will even try to defend it. Now, and this is from those lowly manners and characteristics, and from the signs that he's not sincere, from the signs that he does not have ikhlas, and from the signs that his knowledge is a proof against him, rather a fitna for him. Ayadhan billah. Now we continue. Barakallahu fikum, reading from the statement of the author, Al-Imam Al-Ajurri, rahimahullah ta'ala, Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn al-Husayn. He died in the year 360 after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, from the narrators of hadith and from the imams of the sunnah. نعم من أئمة الحديث والسنة رحمه الله تعالى. And we see his wisdom in his works. Now he says about this العالم الجاهل المفتتن بعلمه يرخص في الفتوى لمن أحب ويشدد على من لا هوى له فيه. The sixth characteristic, and the author, he didn't number them in this manner, he just mentioned them one after another, but we number them so that it will be clear for the brothers and sisters whenever they listen. Maybe you can take notes easier in this manner. يُرَخِّصُ فِي الْفَتْوَى لِمَنْ أَحَبَّ وَيُشَدِّدُ عَلَى مَنْ لَا هَوَى لَهُ فِيهِ. That he will make an excuse and he will be light and easy in giving the fatwa and the Islamic ruling and verdict for the one he loves and likes. And as for the one he does not have any desire for, he doesn't have any concern about, there's nothing that he can benefit from, then he will make the fatwa hard for him. He will make the fatwa harsh for him, and hard. He will not make any excuses or find a way out for him in ease. Meaning that the one who he can benefit from, he will try to find any way out for him in giving him the fatwa on an issue. If another person who he does not have any benefit from whatsoever in his dunya, no status or rank or affair, no money or no position or wealth, then he will just give him the straight ruling and make it harsh on him. So the affair here is that in one issue, in one Islamic verdict, he will give two rulings. He will make it permissible for one he likes, and he will make it haram for the one he does not like. And this man will like this, and this is from his foul traits, that he will make it easy, and he will search for rukhas and the licenses and the means of ease in the deen, and find these different ways out for individuals who he has some hope to benefit from in the dunya. And as for somebody he does not hope to have any benefit from, then he just give them the straight ruling and make it hard for them and does not find a way out. So he is following his desires. يرخص في الفتوى لمن أحب ويشدد على من لا هوى له فيه. Now the seventh attribute that he mentioned, rahimahullah, يذم بعض الرأي فإن احتاج إلى الحكم والفتيا لمن أحب دله عليه وعمل به. He says that also from his attributes, the attributes of that person who is foul and his intention. And all of these affairs here, they clarify that the error, it goes back first and foremost to his intention, that his heart is sick, and that he has intended with his deen, and he has intended with this knowledge that he carries and that he bears, and this Quran that he has memorized and that he has learned, and all of this effort that he has put into memorizing hadith and ahkam, and the gatherings that he has attended and the likes, he wants by way of that to be known, and to have rank and to have status, and he uses this knowledge as a manner to get his dunya. Iyadhan billah. From the signs of that person, he says, يَذُمُّ بَعْضَ الرَّأْيِ, that he will blame and find fault with some of the opinions and positions of the ulama. Now, like, for example, maybe there's a position of the ulama. Sometimes the ulama, they have positions, they make ijtihad. So sometimes their ijtihad is correct. And other times the ijtihadat of the ulama, some of them are not correct. And some of them are based upon proof and evidence. And some of them are based upon striving and trying to achieve the truth. But not all the time is the ijtihad of a particular scholar correct and right. And this is something that is well known. So he says, يَذُمُّ بَعْضَ الرَّأْيِ. So sometimes maybe there will be some ijtihad or a ra'i or position of one of the ulama, and he will find fault with it and he will blame it. He says, this doesn't even have any proof on it. How could he make this statement? And he will find fault with that statement. And it doesn't have any firm foundation and fundamentals in the deen. But he says, فَإِنْ احْتَاجَ إِلَى الْحُكْمِ وَالْفُتْيَةِ. But if that scholar now that is blaming this position in this ijtihad, if he is in need of a particular ruling in order to give a particular verdict, and somebody asked him a question about a religious issue, liman ahab, for the one who he likes, and mean the one that he desires to benefit from, or to obtain some status or rank from, or wealth and the likes, dallahu alayhi wa amila bihi, that he will lead this person to it and he will apply it. And in the very beginning, whenever the hukm or that ruling or that ijtihad, the fatwa of that scholar is mentioned, he's like, man, this is not correct. This is not based upon the proof and the evidence. This is actually, there's many other positions of the ulama that's much stronger than this. But whenever one of the people who has money or status or rank with him, or somebody that has a hand with him and the likes like this, or a hand over him sometimes, yadhan billah, will ask him about the issue, now he needs to give the fatwa. Instead of speaking the truth and the haqq that he knows, he'll give the fatwa of this ruling and this ijtihad of this particular scholar that previously he himself blamed it and found fault with it. But now, because he can obtain dunya by way of it from this individual, this person that he likes, he will give him that same fatwa that he knows is not correct and he blamed it himself. Iyadhan billah. Iyadhan billah. Now, from the 8th characteristic, the author, he mentioned, rahimahullahu ta'ala, من تعلم منه علما فهمته فيه منافع الدنيا فإن عاد عليه خف عليه تعليمه وإن كان ممن لا منفعة له فيه للدنيا وإنما منفعته للآخرة ثقل عليه أي ثقل عليه تعليمه. Now, the author, he says, mentioning from the characteristics of that person whom his knowledge is a proof against him, and he's tried by his knowledge, that if he teaches someone, then his main concern in teaching him is about how much he can gain a benefit in the dunya, the benefits that he will obtain from the dunya by teaching this person. So if the individual whom he's teaching will bring him a lot of benefit in the dunya, then it will be light for him to teach this person. If there's a benefit for him in the dunya from teaching this person, whether it's money or status or rank or position or wealth, whatever the case may be, he will have a benefit from teaching this individual. It will be light for him. خَفَّ عَلَيْهِ تَعْلِيمُهُ. It will be easy for him to teach this individual, and it will be light for him. وَإِنْ كَانَ مِمَّنْ لَا مَنْفَعَةَ لَهُ فِيهِ لِلدُّنْيَا. But if it was somebody whom he is teaching and there's no benefit whatsoever for him in the dunya, وَإِنَّمَا مَنْفَعَتُهُ لِلْآخِرَةِ, meaning the only reward he's going to get from this person is going to be a reward in the hereafter. And this is why he should do it anyways. And meaning that he should only do it for the reward of the hereafter. If Allah blessed him with the reward, and a hastened reward in the dunya, this is khayr upon khayr. But his intention and his goal should be for the hereafter in the first place. But this person, he says here, as for the case if he's teaching somebody and there's no benefit in the dunya for him by teaching him, and the only benefit he'll get if he teaches this person is in the hereafter, ثَقُولَ عَلَيْهِ. It will be heavy for him. It will be heavy for him. So this type of individual here, his students are two types. his students are two types, and in his mind, in the way that he considers things. There are two types: those whom he benefits from teaching them in the dunya, and those whom he does not benefit from teaching them in the dunya. So the people or his students whom he benefits in the dunya from teaching them, and whether it's with money or with position or rank or wealth or status or fame or whatever the case may be, if this particular student right here, he gives him lots of time. He gives him lots of attention and care and concern. If that student makes a mistake, he will correct him in a beautiful manner. Even outside of the class, maybe he will draw him near and he will allow him to be close to him because he benefits from him. And he either maybe in the dunya in any way, sometimes by using him to take care of his personal affairs, using him like a slave, and his servant becomes a servant, and to take care of his personal affairs. Or maybe his father is rich and wealthy, or maybe his father has status and rank and position, or the likes like this. This type of student, he's very nice to him. He teaches him with good manners in the best way, giving him much concern and great effort to teach him in the best way. As for the student who does not have this rank or position with him, his father is poor, for example. He himself is poor, his father is poor, or he's just a regular layman. He's just somebody who, his father is somebody who just goes to work. Maybe he's not even poor, but he's just a regular a brother who doesn't have like status and rank, but he is obviously concerned for his child to learn, so he sent him to learn. This person, he does not show that student any great concern. He's hurry up and he hastens to finish his dars and his lesson. And maybe even worse, if he makes a mistake, he'll be harsh on him because he has no benefit from him whatsoever, and he's just wasting his time. This is how he sees it. He has students in this manner like this. Those whom he benefits from in the dunya, he teaches them nice and he's patient with them. As for those students who have no benefit with him, then he's harsh with them. He's not concerned with them. Now, man, this is something that is foul, and this is an indication of that foul and disgusting intention that this person has. And the people should be aware of this, and the people should know whether this is incumbent. If we see some individuals like this, the wealthy are drawn near and they're taught in the best manner. And if we see somebody who's poor or some student who doesn't have status and rank, that they treat him bad and they throw him to the side. As for the one who his family is rich, maybe even sometimes they might not even be clearly upon the straight path. Maybe they may not even truly be upon As-Salafy, but because they have money, this is what he's looking for. Then if the student or the family who's upon Salafiyya comes and they're striving and they're making effort, but they're poor, they don't have wealth, but they have more desire to learn and they have more hope to learn. And maybe that rich person or the rich man's son, he's not even caring. He even himself has bad manners. Sometimes it could be like this. And the one who is poor, he has great hopes. أَرَغَبُ وَأَلْفُضَبُ لِلْعِلْمِ. He's striving to learn, making effort to learn. Apparently, he doesn't care though. He doesn't look to this issue. Why? Because he's sick. His heart is corrupted. He doesn't want for the people to benefit. He wants to benefit. Yani in the dunya. This is something to be aware of. Now the author, he mentions the 9th trait. يرجو ثواب علم لم يعمل به ولا يخاف سوء عاقبة المساءلة عن تخلف الأمر به. And from this traits of this person, subhanallah. And I remind you, because the author, he mentioned that he mentions these traits so that the people can know them, who they are, and likewise so the people, those who have them, can remove them from themselves. I meant to mention this in the beginning. Likewise, the 2 reasons why he mentions these traits: the first is so that the people know that individual himself, and then also so that individual himself, if he sees those traits, he can remove them from himself. So from those traits, يرجو ثواب علم لم يعمل به. He's hoping for the reward of some knowledge that he did not even apply. And he's seeking knowledge and he's hoping to have a reward with Allah Azza wa Jalla from some knowledge that he has studied and learned, but he himself, he did not even apply it. And this is how he's confused in his mind. وَلَا يَخَافُ سُوءَ عَقِبَةِ الْمُسَاءَلَةِ عَنْ تَخَلُفِ الْعِلْمِ بِهِ. But he's not even afraid of the foul outcome and the question and the accountability of the knowledge that he did not apply. of the knowledge that he did not apply. He's hoping to obtain a reward from Allah Azza wa Jal for knowledge he did not even apply. And at the same time, he's not even afraid of the punishment and the foul outcome of containing or obtaining and carrying knowledge and not applying it. And this is from the calamities. This is from the calamities. This is from the affairs of the heart of this individual. In the heart of this individual, these are some of the affairs. The author, he's going into detail here. Detailed clarification. Now, the 10th characteristic, he says, Rahimahullah, يرجو ثواب الله على بغضه من ظن به السوء من المستورين ولا يخاف مقوة الله على مداهنته للمحتوكين. He says that he hopes for the reward of Allah Azza wa Jal by detesting and hating some individuals that he thinks are not good or upon the right way, but in reality their affair is not disclosed, and their affair is not apparent, and they're not known for anything except for good. And he is not afraid of Allah detesting him for compromising along with those people who their affairs clearly revealed. For those who their affairs clearly revealed. This person here, he's hoping for the reward of Allah Azza wa Jal, loving for the sake of Allah and hating for the sake of Allah. This individual, he thinks bad about him, and he has a bad opinion and feeling about him, and he will hate him and he claims it's for the sake of Allah, and he hopes that he has a reward for it. But in reality, that person, he's not known for anything except for good. He's not known for anything, and there's nothing that has been clarified about his issue. And he has not been exposed, and he has not made statements outwardly or actions apparently that require for a Muslim to dislike him. But still, this person, he has bad opinion about him. So then he hopes for the reward of Allah Azza wa Jalla for disliking him. But at the same time, he himself, he will compromise. He will make compromise with individuals who their affair is clear. محتوكين يعني محتوك يعني مكشوف. محتوك يعني مكشوف أمره. And that his affair is clear. This person is misguided, or this person is a person of evil. This person is person that is foul and corrupt. This person is a criminal. This person is a criminal. This man is a criminal. But he's not afraid of the anger of Allah. He's not afraid of the anger of Allah by having acquaintances with him or having companionship with him. Rather, some of them, they even go so far to claim, this is our good brother. But it's known he's a criminal. And it's known he's upon filth. Even though maybe he has a proper understanding of creed, but his iman is very weak and deficient, and he's a criminal and a liar. Or sometimes they even harm other Muslims physically. And he's not worried about what the hatred of Allah for having love for that person who harms Muslims. Maybe, for example, he will look at some other brothers and he'll just think bad about them for some reason. Or the likes like this, and he'll hope for the reward from Allah. I love for the sake of Allah, hate for the sake of Allah. And then there'll be other foul individuals who are known for foulness, and they're known for criminal activities, and they're known for harming Muslims, punching and knocking Muslims out until they're on the ground flat for some silly reason. And he does not have any enmity or hatred for him. Rather, he has love for him. That's his man. All of this is signs that you should be aware of, my brother and sister, of the people of ignorance. The people of ignorance. نعم العالم الجاهل في الحقيقة هو جاهل. He's ignorant. وهو مفتون مفتتن بعلمه. And he's tried by his knowledge. Al-Imam al-Ajurri, he has written this, and he died in 360. If the people would be aware of this and know, then many of the fitna that has occurred would be clear for individuals. But the problem is that the people don't learn, and they don't follow the right way and learn the books of the Salaf step by step and little by little. And because of this, they jump stages and levels, and then they wind up using the statements of the Salaf to support their desires and their whims, not according to that which is correct and according to the way of the people of knowledge. نعم يرجو ثواب الله على بغض من ظن به السوء من المستورين ولا يخاف مقت الله على مداهنته للمحتوكين ولا يخاف مقت الله على مداهنته للمحتوكين. نعم, the 11th issue that the author he has mentioned, and from the signs and attributes of those ignorant people who claim knowledge and their knowledge is a proof against them and they're tried by their knowledge, ينطق بالحكمة فيظن أنه من أهلها ولا يخاف عظم الحجة عليه لتركه استعمالها. He says that he will speak or pronounce or make a statement of wisdom and benefit, and he thinks that he is from the people of wisdom and benefit himself. He will make the statement of those people and he will think that he's from them. But he's not afraid of the great proof that is established against him by leaving off the application of that wisdom and that knowledge. And he'll make the statement himself and he'll pronounce the words of haqq and truth. ينطق بالحكمة ويظن أنه من أهلها. يعني ينطق بالسنة. نعم يدافع عن التوحيد. نعم يرفع راية السلفية ويظن أنه من أهلها. But he's not even afraid that he's going to be held accountable because he's not even living up to what he has claimed. And he's not even following the information that he's mentioned, the information and the knowledge that he is spreading. Now, so this person here, that he is peace and makes a statement of wisdom, and this is something that is known. And this is the issue of this individual. The one who is al-alim al-jahil al-muftatan bi-ilmihi, is that possibly a person could be or could carry and have al-ilm al-sahih, al-ilm al-shar'i al-sahih. He could have the proper knowledge of Tawheed, and he knows aqsam al-Tawheed, and he knows aqsam al-shirk wal-nifaq, and he knows the sunnah, and he knows the bid'ah, and he has all of this information, and he knows all of this. And then he will speak it, and he will say these words, and he will talk about Tawheed, and he will talk about al-aqidah al-sahiha, and he will talk about al-manhaj al-Salafy, and he will talk about it, and he will talk about it, and he will talk about. And then he will think that he's from the people of this, and he is not. And it's not about talking. It's about application. The talk has to be applied. He thinks that he's from the people of wisdom by speaking the wisdom, but he's not even afraid of the proof that is established against him by leaving off the application of that. Speaking about ikhlas, and then he himself, he wants to be known. At the same time, giving a class about ikhlas, and then he wants to be known from that. نعم قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله الدعوة تكون لله الدعوة تكون لله العلم لله عبادة. That a person, he calls to Allah, not to himself. A person, he learns for the sake of Allah, not for the people, not for status or rank, not for his benefit in this life. Likewise, teaching and spreading knowledge is not to have position or rank or status with the people, but rather with Allah. This is the means. So, the one who sees these traits in somebody else, then he'll be aware of that person. And if he has position with him or status with him, he will try to advise him in the best manner. The one who sees these traits in himself, he will strive to get rid of them. This is the purpose here. The author is not intending to expose people to clear. He's mentioning these characteristics so the general population and the Muslims can be aware, and likewise so that person, he can hear this speech and he can rectify himself. And if this is the haqq and it applies to somebody, then that person, he needs to rectify himself. This is the issue here. Yeah? And also so that the people, they're not, because he's sick. And we know about sickness. And sickness is clarified in these days that if people go around sick people, they become sick like them. And if you go around sick people, what happens to the people who come around sick people? They're not sick. A lot of times, and by the decree of Allah, they become sick. So that's why it's also decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take the means to not get sick. So if there are individuals who are sick, then you don't go around them. Or you take precaution when you go near them. So how about the sickness of the heart and the sickness of that comes with Tawheed? And the issue here is the issue of Tawheed. There's a deficiency there in the ikhlas. Instead of intending the reward from Allah, he's intending the reward from the people. And it's a major issue. Based upon these traits, much fitna comes from him. That's why it's called al-muftatan bi-ilmihi. That's the other trait. He didn't just mention al-alim al-jahil, the ignorant scholar. La, al-muftatan bi-ilmi. He's tried by his knowledge. And he is also a means to try others, and other people may be tried by his knowledge. Iyadhan billah. So this is something to be known, and this is something to be aware of. This is something that a believer has to be upon in his life and in his deen. That he knows who the people of knowledge are truthfully, and he benefit from them, and he knows who the people who imitate them are not truly from them, or the people who are carrying that same knowledge and the likes, but they have an issue with them. They have a sickness with them. And to be aware of this. طيب, he says number 12, and I mentioned, he says, إن علم ازداد مباهاة وتصنعا وإن احتاج إلى معرفة علم تركه أنفا. That if he learns something, and meaning if he gains knowledge, then he would increase in boasting and bragging and pretending to be from the people of knowledge. The more he learns, the more he boasts and brags. The more he learns, the more he boasts and brags. عياذا بالله. And if he is in need himself of some knowledge, he will leave it. He will leave it out of arrogance and out of pride. And the more he actually does learn, then he is bragging and boasting about that and raising his head. And trying to gain more status and rank by way of that. But he himself, whenever he is personally in need of knowledge with regards to the affairs between him and his Lord, then he will leave it with arrogance and pride. The 13th trait he mentioned, rahimahullah, إن كثر العلماء في عصره فذكروا بالعلم أحب أن يذكر معهم. That if there are a lot of people of knowledge, if there are a lot of scholars in his era, in his time, and they are mentioned because of their knowledge, then he loves and he wants to be mentioned along with them. Then he loves and he wants to be mentioned along with them. Now, and from his trait, that whenever the ulama are mentioned, he wants to be mentioned along with them. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that whoever does this, وَمَنْ طَلَبَ الْعِلْمِ لِيُجَارِيَ بِهِ الْعُلَمَا, to go along with the ulama, to be considered from the ulama. Some people, that's what they want. They want to be considered from the ulama. They want to be considered from the mashaykh. This is what they want in their heart. They get knowledge and they make moves and they do what they do so that they will be known from the ulama. So that they are known that they're from the ulama, that they're from the mashaykh. You must know his position and the likes like this. He's saying, إن كثر العلماء في عصره فذكروا بالعلم أحب أن يذكر معهم. That if the people of knowledge are plenty in his era and they are all being mentioned for their knowledge or for the knowledge, then he loves and he hopes to be mentioned along with them. The 14th trait, إن سئل العلماء عن مسألة فلم يسأل هو أحب أن يسأل كما يسأل غيره. وكان أولى به أن يحمد ربه إذ لم يسأل وإذ كان غيره قد كفاه. Subhanallah. He said, from the traits of this person, and all of these are traits to indicate ماذا؟ فساد النية وخلل في الإخلاص. هناك خلل في الإخلاص ونية فاسدة. نعم ومقصد سيء. عياذا بالله. If the scholars or the people of knowledge, they're asked about a particular issue, and he himself, he's not asked, he loves that he would be asked, like others are asked. And if the ulama are being asked, what's the ruling about this, and what's the ruling about that, and this is so he sees the ulama, they're being questioned, and they're being asked about affairs in the deen, and so he also wants to be asked along with them. And but he himself, he's not asked. Nobody asked him about the issue. He wishes and he hopes and he would like to be asked along with them, like the others were asked. But the author, he clarifies, but it's more rightful for him, and it's more rightful for him that he should have praised his Lord and thanked him that he was not asked. And he should praise Allah and thank him that he is not asked and that somebody else has sufficed him. Somebody else has sufficed him. And this person, for example, if somebody comes and asks another individual and doesn't ask him, why would he ask him? I have much more knowledge than him. I have this degree and that degree. How is he asking him? He doesn't even have a degree. Why are you going to ask him? Why didn't you ask me? I have a tazkiyah from so and so and so. How can, this is how he thinks and this is how he acts. He's mad that other people are asked and he's not asked. He dislikes it. He wants to be asked. You should have asked me. Like this. But in reality, the author, he's saying, this person, he should be happy and thankful, and he should praise Allah Azza wa Jalla that he's not asked and that somebody else sufficed him. And the author, subhanallah, he's referring to this great issue, the issue of المنهج السلفي في هذه المسألة. المنهج السلفي في مسألة الإفتاء أن الإنسان أن العبد يرجو ألا يسأل وأن يكفيه غيره من أهل العلم. That a person, he hopes, the way of the Salaf as-Salih, the Salafi manhaj with regards to giving fatwa, is that he hopes that he is not asked. and that others will suffice him from the people of knowledge. And this is something that is well known and something that is narrated in Sunan al-Darimi. And has been narrated from Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, rahimahullah. He died in the year 83. He's from the great scholars of the Tabi'een, from those great and noble Tabi'een who benefited and learned from the Sahaba, radiyallahu anhum jami'an. So Abdurrahman ibn Abi Layla, he says, لَقَدْ أَدْرَكْتُ فِي هَذَا الْمَسْجِدِ 20 وَمِيَّةً مِنَ الْأَنصَارِ. He said, verily I have met in this masjid 120 individuals from the Ansar, and from the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, he's saying in this masjid, in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have met 120 companions of the Prophet from the Ansar. Now, he says, وَمَا مِنْهُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ يُحَدِّثُ بِحَدِيثٍ إِلَّا وَدَّ أَنَّ أَخَاهُ كَفَاهُ. And not one of them, and he from those 120 Ansar that he met, not one of them would speak about a narration or talk about an issue in the deen, يُحَدِّثُ بِحَدِيثٍ, and he talk about affairs, except that he wished that his brother would suffice him. Instead of him talking, he wished that his brother would be talking and sufficing him, so he didn't have to talk. And then he says, rahimahullah, وَلَا يُسْأَلُ أَنْ فُتْيَا إِلَّا وَدَّ أَخَاهُ كَفَاهُ الْفُتْيَا. And not one of them will be asked about a religious verdict except that he wished that his brother would suffice him, and he would answer the verdict for him, that he would not have to give the answer. That he would not have to give the answer. This is the way of the Salaf. He's narrating to us on the companions. 120 of the Ansar, that not one of them was speaking, be the one in the front lines, talking directly, except he wished that somebody else from the brothers, from his people of knowledge, from the Ansar, would speak in his place, and he could sit in the back. And he wouldn't be asked about a religious verdict and a fatwa in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, except that he wished that his brother would be asked instead of him, so that the responsibility is not on him, and that somebody else could bear that burden and that responsibility. Likewise, we have also from the Tabi'in, Al-Imam Al-Sha'bi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, mentioning about in his days and in those times, he died in 109, rahimahullah ta'ala, also from the Tabi'in, إِذَا سُئِلَ الرَّجُلُ قَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ أَفْتِهِمْ. He's telling us here that if a man in his times and from the people he learned from, from the great Tabi'in and from some of the companions, he said if a man was asked about a futya in their times, then he would say to the one next to him or his companion, أفتهم, you give them the ruling. You answer his question. فَلَا يَزَالُ حَتَّى يَرْجِعَ إِلَى الْأَوَّلِ. And they would continue to do that. Like if they're in a group and somebody came and asked the question, he would tell the one next to him, you answer. And you go ahead and you give the fatwa. And then he would go to the next one, and this would continue all the way until it came back to him. All the way until it came back to him, all of them would refuse and they would reject, and they would not hope to be the one speaking in the name like this of the deen and speaking and giving the ruling. So this is the way that they were. They're not hoping to be asked. If they're asked and they're required to speak and to clarify, then they do that with wisdom, and they do that with knowledge, and they say what they know upon the knowledge that they have learned and they have been blessed with and given and bestowed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they hope the reward from Allah Azza wa Jalla, and they fear the punishment of that. And they know the weight of this knowledge, and that they're carrying something that is a blessing, that is great, and something that is a responsibility, and that the one who does not bear this knowledge properly, then he will be held accountable. He will be held accountable with Allah Azza wa Jalla. And Allah has blamed those people who did not bear the knowledge in the manner properly. And He has mentioned that they are like donkeys carrying books on their back. Now, that they're like donkeys carrying books on their back because they have the knowledge but they don't benefit it. Like if you put books on the back of a donkey, Bukhari and Muslim and everything else, they don't benefit from the narration. The donkey doesn't benefit from the narration. Like that, this individual, he's carrying this knowledge but he doesn't benefit. Allah made the resemblance of this person to a donkey. So the way of the Salaf is they don't want to be asked. And if somebody else was asked besides them, this would make them happy. This would make them happy. Instead, what does he say? If he's asked, he wished that he was asked. And how could you ask him? This is a sign of a foul intention. This is a sign that this person, he's tried by his knowledge. This is a sign that the person is tried by his knowledge. Number 15, the 15th trait, he says, Rahimahullah ta'ala, إن بلغه أن أحدا من العلماء أخطأ وأصاب هو فرح بخطأ غيره وكان حكمه أن يسوءه ذلك. He says here, rahimahullah, again clarifying those traits of that person whom his knowledge is a proof against him, and the one who is carrying knowledge but he has a foul intention and he's tried by his knowledge. What are his traits? If it reaches him that anyone from the people of knowledge made a mistake in a particular issue, and he himself was correct in that issue, then this makes him happy. Then وهو فرح بخطأ غيره. He is happy and pleased, and he rejoices with the mistake of other than him. But the author, he says, but the ruling for him in this particular issue and what is incumbent and an obligation upon him is that would make him sad, and he would dislike that. He would dislike that. And from the very first narrations that a student will memorize is that 40 hadith of An-Nawawi, rahimahullah. And from the very first of those narrations, the hadith of Anas, al-muttafaq alayhi, radiyallahu anhu, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. That not one of you truly believes, and his faith is not complete until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So then that means that a Muslim will never be happy that another Muslim failed. A Muslim who has complete faith and his Islam is good and his Iman is strong, no matter how much knowledge he carries, this is an obligation of Iman. For the layman and for the scholar and for the student of knowledge, they all have to have this trait right here, to love for their brother what they love for themselves. And that necessitates that they dislike for their brother what they dislike for themselves. So just like he disliked to be in error himself, he would dislike that for his brother. And just like he likes to be correct himself, he would like that for his brother. So this is what's incumbent upon him. So a sign that he has a disease in his heart and that he's sick and that he has a corrupt intention is that whenever somebody from the people of knowledge or the students of knowledge, they make a mistake, and he did not make that mistake, that he's happy and he's pleased with that. And some of them, they can't even wait to spread that and to boast that. And they translate that into languages. بَلْ لُغَاتٍ يَذِنْ بِاللَّهِ and the likes like this. But the way of a believer is that this will make him sad. Many people, if they finally, after years of trying to get a particular scholar to speak bad about a person, they rejoice and they laugh. And the time has finally come. And all of this is a sign of foulness, and all of this is a sign of wickedness inside the heart. And these signs clarify individuals, and the people who are aware of these books, they're aware of those people. وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدِ. So we see in بلغه أن أحد من العلماء أخطأ وأصاب هو فرح بخطأ غيره وكان حكمه أن يسوءه ذلك. So if it reached him that somebody from the people of knowledge, he made a mistake, and he himself was correct, and he would rejoice about the mistake of the other person. And the author, he says, but in reality, what is the ruling for this person, what is an obligation, is that this will not make him happy, rather it will make him sad. And the fact that a Muslim, for example, goes astray, this makes the heart sad. The fact that a Muslim, his sins are spread, this makes the heart sad. The fact that a student of knowledge, he makes a statement of falsehood, that makes the heart sad. And this is how a person, this is how you should feel. This is an obligation of Iman. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. If a sister makes a mistake, or a sister falls into sin, or falls into error, or starts to hang out with the wrong crowd, this makes us sad. Likewise, if a brother goes astray or falls into error, or if just an average Muslim. So what about the people who have benefit with him? The people who are students of knowledge, or du'at, or the people who are ulama and the likes like that, if they fall into error, this does not make a believer happy. This will make a believer sad. This will make a believer sad. This is something that not to rejoice over. This is not something to rejoice over. The author, he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, we read again the 17th صفة للعالم الجاهل المفتتن بعلمه. إن سئل عما لا يعلم أنف أن يقول لا أعلم حتى يتكلف ما لا يسعه في الجواب. He said if he's asked about some knowledge that he does not know, then he will be too arrogant and he will be too proud to say that he does not know. And he will even try to pretend that he has some knowledge and to give the answer in a manner that he will pretend to give the answer and to respond. But the way of the people of knowledge is contrary to that, and we have seen that before. من أخطأ لا أدري فقد قد أصيب المقاتل. Now that the one who does not know, I don't know, then this is the means for his destruction. It has been narrated to me, and I have learned about our Shaykhana, Shaykh Zayd al-Madkhali, rahimahullah ta'ala, that sometimes he would be asked about a particular issue, and he would tell the questioner, come back to us next week, and we're going to research and find the answer for you. Likewise, it has reached me about Shaykh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, Shaykh al-Islam, Lihal al-Asr, and the great scholar, Shaykh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he would be asked about an issue in the deen, and he would tell them, come back later, inshallah, let me check and make some review. So this is a good sign, and a sign of honesty and truthfulness. And even Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, he said, Man ajaba ala kulli ma yus'alu fa huwa majnoon. And the one who answers everything that he's asked, and he's crazy. And this person's crazy. How you want to know everything? Every time somebody asks you something, you have the answer right away? La. Even sometimes, for example, maybe an individual who be asked about a particular issue and he knows the answer, but before he responds from the wisdom of that person, and then he will verify. Maybe sometimes the knowledge, one memorizes it, but that ilm lahu afa. The ilm, knowledge, it has a disease, and that's forgetfulness. And sometimes if the knowledge is not reviewed all the time, one may forget it. Or even also the knowledge can become mixed up in the mind. Issues are sometimes similar, and rulings are sometimes close together. And one proof maybe have more than one ruling in different areas and different chapters of fiqh. So sometimes even if a person knows the answer, he will tell from the wisdom is to tell him just to wait a moment. I'll get back with you later, inshallah. Let me check the issue and verify the evidence and the statements of the ulama, and then respond to you. But this person, he does not do that. If he doesn't know the answer, he won't say, I doesn't know, because he doesn't want to know. And he thinks that this is going to be a means for his status to be lowered. But in reality, by saying that he does not know, this is the sign of knowledge, and the sign of the fear of Allah, and the sign that he knows Allah, and he's afraid of his punishment, and that he would never say anything about the deen of his Lord and the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge and without evidence and without clarity. Without knowledge and without evidence and without clarity. But this person here, this ignorant person of knowledge, whom his knowledge is a proof against him, and his knowledge is a fitna for him, and he's tried, then he will pretend to have the answer, and he will mention the answer in a manner, and going around and around like this, pretending to have the answer, and in reality he does not himself even know. Iyadhan billah. So we close here this evening, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, wa inshallah we continue from this point here, and that was the 17th attribute of that scholar, and the author, he's mentioned more than 20 of them, approximately 21. And we continue reading tomorrow, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Hada wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.